Hello everyone, this is Pooka, and welcome to another game I played on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. And we're going to be trying out a different deck this time around. It is a deck that's been kind of getting a little hype recently. The Gothitelle Accelgor deck with Mew EX as well. Now that we have Floatstone, this deck has a whole new dimension to it, and it may be a viable choice. It already won a national championship, so who knows, maybe this deck can be one of those contenders come time for U.S. Nationals and all those other big tournaments. So right here, we're going up against a player named Pokemonpauly. Starts with a Landorus EX, but he does not get an energy or anything really. So I'm still not sure exactly what he's playing. All I see is that Hypnotoxic Laser, and my hand is really bad. So if there's a knock on this kind of a deck, it's that it takes a lot of stuff to set up. And you know, if you don't get your Gothitelle out quickly, you're going to struggle to win a lot. This is a deck that once it sets up, it beats just about everything. It's just a matter of can you get there? Can you actually get your setup? And this game is going to be one of those where it doesn't really look like we're going to do it. So, I also don't have a supporter. I'm contemplating whether or not I should attach that double colorless because that is your biggest resource in this deck. Your strategy is to copy Accelgor's deck and cover, which automatically paralyzes and poisons your opponent, and then you promote your Gothitelle, which has the Magic Room ability, shuts off any item cards, which would prevent things like Switch or Pokemon Catcher, or really anything that would heal status conditions, and then you have the Floatstone and the Gothitelle. So basically your opponent will be infinitely paralyzed once you get this whole combo going. So I go ahead and use Forewarn with Musharna, and the future is not bright. It doesn't really matter which card I take. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use Hypnotic Gaze. I'm going to use Mew, since it can copy any attack on the field. I'm fortunate that my opponent's start is also pretty slow, because I mean, if he had just been using Hammerhead the first couple turns, I probably would have lost, to be completely honest. I don't think I would have been able to win here. And I draw the rare candy like I knew I would. And we see the Trubbish, so we know now that this is a Garbodor deck. Now, this scares a lot of people about the Gothitelle deck. It's like, whoa, what am I supposed to do against Garbodor? Like, wow, he shuts up all my abilities. What the heck am I supposed to do against that? And it's actually not as bad as you'd think. One thing I check for when I play this Skyla is my Tool Scrapper in there, and it is. Now, the only reason I play Tool Scrapper is for Garbodor, because once you Tool Scrapper away their tool, Garbotoxin is off, Gothitelle will be active, and Magic Room prevents them from ever playing any more item cards, which means no more Pokemon tools, which means all your abilities are free for the rest of the game. So, Garbodor actually turns out to be a liability for these kinds of decks if you can play that Tool Scrapper down. But we'll see what happens. I did get the Skyla off the Forewarn from Musharna, so I got a Juniper, and then I used Garbage Collection for a Pokemon Communication. So next turn, I'll be able to draw that Pokemon Communication. I will shuffle the other Musharna in, and then we'll get a Gothitelle. We have Rare Candy and Gothitelle. And alright, things are starting to look up. We're going to put a Floatstone on the Mew, and then a Floatstone on the Gothitelle. I decided to put the Floatstone on the Mew, since if I do use deck and cover at some point, I could just shuffle that Floatstone back in. Now, I promote Gothitelle just because it has a lot of HP, and Mew actually cannot use anything anymore, since the ability is shut off. So, this is still a tricky situation until I can get a Tool Scrapper, but I can get it next turn with that Skyla, so I'm not too worried about it. Now, this is another one of those decks that is very hurt by not having Tropical Beach on Pokemon TCG Online. If you had that Stadium card in here, you'd just be drawing up to 7 for your first couple turns. Since you do need so much setup, you don't plan on really attacking for the first few turns. Tropical Beach is a key for this deck's success, and we just don't have it. So, kind of unfortunate, but oh well. Now, he does finally draw a supporter, it seems. We have an N, and that is fine. He catches out the Mew as well. And we'll have to see what happens from here. I did get a Skyla, so I can just Skyla for the Tool Scrapper. And for the rest of the game, I should just be able to sit back and kind of set up my lock. I assume my Mew is going to go down. Maybe whatever gets targeted with Hammerhead's going to go down. I'll fall behind a couple prizes, but that's not the end of the world, to be completely honest. As long as I can just, get rid of the tool on Garbodor, and then I can item lock him the rest of the game with that magic room, I'll be good. There's really no way this kind of a deck can beat you once that happens. So we'll play the Skyla here, and obviously we're going to take the Tool Scrapper. Skyla is very important in this kind of a deck with Rare Candy, and, well, you would like Tropical Beach, but Tool Scrapper as well. And apparently there's a glitch where you could discard all 4 tools and play if you really wanted to. Yeah, that's probably something that needs to get fixed. So now we can put down a Shelmet as well. And hey, Musharna is active again. And we could take that Accelgor for next turn. This is turning out to be a pretty good turn, gotta say. And yeah, what more can I ask for here? I mean, he cannot possibly do anything to knock me out. I mean, he can Hammerhead to knock out the Mew on the bench, or he can decide to go with the Duskull if he really wants to. I probably assume he's going to go for the Mew, take the 2 prizes, but he could go for Duskull as well. And then from here, I mean, what does he do? Sure, I guess he could Land's Judgment next turn. But if I draw a catcher, here's what's going to happen. I'm just going to catcher up that Garbodor, and that's pretty much going to be it. He's going to sit there forever because he's got a 3 retreat cost. I'm going to have all day to set up everything, and I am going to be perfectly happy with my situation. So here, I evolve into Accelgor, and I have to decide, do I want to use my Dowsing Machine here? I could use it for Skyla and just get catcher, and just say, heck, let's just do that. But I want to play very cautiously. I'm going to go ahead and use Forewarn here. And hey, there's both catchers. So, I do get a catcher. But yeah, I want to play cautiously with that Dowsing Machine. I don't want to use it unless I really have to. In case something really fluky happens where he does get a tool back down on his Garbodor. Maybe I get caught with Gothitelle not active one turn. I do not want that to happen. So I'm going to be very cautious with my Dowsing Machine. And I'm going to pass. I could have attached Floatstone to my other Gothitelle. I probably should have. But, at this point, I just feel like this is almost game over. I mean, what does my opponent do from here? Garbodor is stuck active. I mean, he's got to pay 3 to retreat that thing. And eventually what's going to happen is I'm just not going to attack this Garbodor. I'm going to get everything set up. I'm going to get my Dusknoir set up. I'm going to get another Gothitelle set up. I'm going to try to thin my deck out so that eventually all that I have left is Mew and like double colorless and then some other cards. The stuff that I can't completely get rid of. And what I'm going to do is catcher Landorus back out so that I can paralyze and poison at every turn with Mew copying Accelgor's deck and cover. And then I'm going to prevent it from ever being knocked out by using Dusknoir's Sinister Hand, which allows me to rearrange damage on my opponent's board. So it's a very complicated process, that's for sure. But I guess you'll kind of see what's going on when everything kind of gets in motion. That is going to be the game plan from here, though. And I'm actually just thinking at this point, wow, I've actually won the game. Like I don't think I can really lose at this point. He actually attached to the bench Landorus as well. Yeah, the Gothitelle's Magic Room is an extremely powerful ability. Gothitelle kind of got written off as, weak to Psychic. Can't play this card anymore. We have Mewtwo, we have Deoxys, and to an extent that's true. Gothitelle's not a great attacking Pokemon anymore. There are too many things that just knock it out. It takes too many energy to attack, but the ability is where it is extremely strong, and this deck is kind of the one niche where we found a use for Gothitelle still. There's always going to be some strength to locking items, that's for sure. Even something like Zebstrika can be playable as long as you don't run into something like that Landorus over there. But yeah, looks like my opponent's going to end here, and I wish I could provide more analysis or something, insightful here. But I really think this game is just over at this point. I don't think my opponent sees it yet, but I'm going to get Rare Candy Dusknoir, and that is pretty much the end. And we're going to forewarn. I can take a Battle City or Accelgor. So Battle City is my Tropical Beach replacement. It's not quite as good, let me tell you. I draw an extra card every once in a while, but I gotta say, seeing a Tropical Beach is better than a Battle City most of the time. So I get the Battle City, try to get an extra card, and I fail, but that's alright. Now I'm going to Ultra Ball here, and then discard a Float Stone and a Juniper, and then we're going to grab another Gothitelle. Now I get a second Gothitelle in play, and at this point, again, I am just feeling like this is pretty much over. I probably could have attached that Float Stone to the other Gothitelle, but yeah, I mean, I have items locked for the rest of the game, pretty much. Unless, I'm trying to think of what he would need to do to pull some magic off here. It would involve him, for some reason, playing a Keldeo EX in a Garbodor deck, which doesn't make too much sense, since you can't really rush in when Garbotoxin's in effect. So, I don't see that happening. I don't see him playing Audino. And yeah, if you don't play those two cards, really the only things that get through Magic Room are abilities at this point. I mean, obviously, because items don't do it. So we're going to go for Battle City, go for the Forewarn, and at this point, I am just like, alright, I think we're pretty good, pretty set up. I don't think there's much that can really derail me at this point. So I'm going to go play my Dowsing Machine. At this point, I'm comfortable playing the Dowsing Machine because I have everything pretty much locked down. I have a second Gothitelle even if something goes sour. If I miss a turn of using Deck and Cover and my Gothitelle gets knocked out, I'll even have a second Gothitelle waiting in the wings. So, alright, we are going to catch up Landorus, and the slow, laborious process of winning the game begins. And now you'll see everything working beautifully together. We're going to Deck and Cover, hit the Landorus for 50, Paralyze and Poison, copying Accelgor's Deck and Cover via Mew's versatile ability. We have Gothitelle active with that Magic Room ability, shutting off items. Float Stone gives me free retreat, so I can put down another Mew next turn, Deck and Cover again next turn. Musharna's Forewarn gives me an extra card every turn, allows me to dig 2 cards deeper so that I can continue my Deck and Cover lock with Mew. And then Dusknoir's Sinister Hand is going to be the piece to the puzzle here that puts it all together. It allows me to move damage off of the Landorus EX that's active. I will keep moving it to benched Pokemon until I can pretty much knock everything out. And then I'm going to knock out the active and then take bench knockouts and basically take 6 prizes at once. That's what's going to happen here. So on Pokemon TCG Online, it is very, very annoying to use Dusknoir's Sinister Hand. I truly hope they change this mechanic because it is super annoying. I wish I could just say, move 6 damage counters from this guy to this guy. But no, every time we have to click Sinister Hand, hold on, we have to click Dusknoir, click Sinister Hand, click the Pokemon where we want to move the damage from, and click the Pokemon where we want to move damage to. That's 4 clicks every time you want to move a single damage counter. So, that moving 60 damage there was, let's see, 6 times 4. That's 24. 24 clicks to move 60 damage. That is not very good. Hopefully that gets fixed in the future. But you can see here at this point what my strategy is. Alright, we're going to just keep piling up damage on my opponent's board. He is stuck. As long as I can pull off Deck and Cover every turn, he is just stuck, okay? He cannot do anything. And I have such a thin deck. I actually played a Skyla for a Skyla last turn. That was not a misclick. That was not a stupid play. That was actually just taking out extra Skylas out of my deck so that I don't draw them anymore. I'm basically just trying to thin the deck out at this point and take away those excess cards which won't allow me to use Deck and Cover anymore. Now, it's a kind of a fickle situation. I want to have a very thin deck at this point. I just want to pretty much have Mews and double colorless and that's it. I need to be able to do that. Just keep drawing Mews and DCE every turn so that I can deck and cover every turn, keep them paralyzed over and over and over until I win with Sinister Hand and whatnot. So yeah, that's going to be the plan. But the tricky part is I cannot put myself with less than 7 total cards left in play at any time. And what I mean by that is, let's say I use deck and cover. Say if I were to Juniper my hand away here, I would probably be left with not that many. I would be discarding a lot of my cards. You can see it's kind of getting laggy at this point. I'd be discarding a lot of my cards. So what would happen is I could be left with like only 5 cards total or something like that after I shuffle in the Mew. And then if my opponent plays an N, I would be forced to draw 6 and then 1 for the turn. And if I couldn't draw 6 after the N, I would deck out. So I need to avoid kind of playing Juniper just to make sure. And I wish I could see how many cards were left in my deck. That would be awesome. Another factor for Pokemon TCG Online here. If I knew there were, let's see, I only need 5 cards left in the deck to play the Juniper and be okay. Because then I shuffle 2 in with the Mew and the DCE. So if I knew that, I would just Juniper and I would just get it every turn, no questions. I guess I could play a Skyla and kind of count, but oh well. So here, I'm trying to decide, and this is where if I knew how many cards were left, I'd probably just Juniper. But I don't want to take a risk on a game that I pretty much have locked up. So we're going to go ahead and play an N this turn, I think. Shuffle in and draw 6. Might as well do that. It looks like I have enough cards to do it, but again, I just don't want to take the risk. And alright, so once again, we're going to use Sinister Hand, move some damage around, and I'm avoiding taking prizes just because I don't want an N to put me at like 2 cards or something like that. That way, I might not draw the Mew in the double colorless. I might miss a turn of the deck and cover. But yeah, this is a ridiculous combination once it all sets up. There's really nothing you can do about it. And you can see why this deck is so strong once it finally gets set up. Alright, the key is getting set up. I mean, look at this ridiculous field. I have 2 Gothitelle, a Dusknoir, an Accelgor, and a Musharna. That is 5 evolutions, 3 of them being stage 2. I have all of those in play. And you can see Magic Room there. And I'm just checking a look to see how many ends he's played. Looks like he's only played 1. So I still have to be weary of that thing. And yeah, you can see all the cards that are in play here. We have Deck and Cover, Accelgor, we already saw Dusknoir for the Sinister Hand. All of these cards have ridiculous abilities and attacks. They just have not had the opportunity to shine in this kind of a format. And this is the deck where they all kind of come together. Musharna is an underrated card as well. Forewarn is very good to get you an extra card every turn. Nobody likes to play it because it's an evolution, and you know, you have to it's a 3 retreat Pokemon. You have to get it out, and it's a catch reliability. Oh well. But at this point, I think my opponent is almost like banged his head on the desk because he's so annoyed, and he probably passed out. So I think he's going to time out and lose, which is probably for the best, because my next couple turns, we're still going to take probably 5 more minutes of this game with Sinister Hand. But we all know what's going to happen, alright? Eventually, there's really an extremely small chance that I'm going to miss using Deck and Cover at some point. Between the Juniper, I mean, I really only have to do it like twice more before I have enough damage on his board to pull off the win. But we can all see what's coming. I am going to take all 6 prizes at once. There's enough damage on his board. There's Landorus EX on the bench is only 10 away from being knocked out. I can even probably save a turn if I catch with the Mewtwo and hit it with Mew for 100 with Deck and Cover because it's weak to Psychic. So yeah, this is going to be it. I mean, once it gets to this point, the game's over. You know, it's just an inevitability. I'm going to take all 6 prizes at once, and there we go. My opponent just probably rammed his head into the wall and said, screw this, I am done. And there we go. So, there is the Gothitelle Accelgor deck. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That's probably a deck you'll be seeing more of soon, so just wanted to get a game in with it. And hope you enjoyed. I am Pooka here from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.